Hi guys, welcome back. We've got an interesting little experiment to do today. So I'm back on the Airmaks katran for the moment. The Anschutz is apart. I'm waiting on some new scope mounts for that. But after the success of using the JSB Exact shorts a few videos ago, I'm hoping to try and run a few of these through the Airmaks katran. So plan is I want to test whether or not the single shot loader is markedly any more accurate than the magazines. These being auto-indexing magazines are generally not noted to work particularly well with shorter pellets. Now, I've had the katran for about 9 months and so far these have been faultless, so it's certainly going to be a bit of a test for it. I'm not entirely sure that these are going to group at all with it. I would generally always be swayed to buy some longer exacts for it than the shorts. However, they performed very well the other day. So we're going to start at 25 yards, we'll use the single shot loader, then we'll swap over to the magazines and see which of the two is more accurate, if there's a difference, and if there is, how big that difference is. So I'm going to get some cards drawn up and I'll see you at the farm. Right guys, we're here, so the katran's set up. We're off the bipod, we've got the monopod at the rear end. I'm just going to set this up first with the FX branded JSBs. Now they're one of the longest pellets that I've seen in the JSB 8.4s. First target's out at 25 yards. There it is. Got 3 crosshairs on there and then 3 below it, so we're just going to set it up with the longest 8.4s first, and then we're going to swap over to the little JSB Exact shorts after that, and then we'll do the mag testing. So let's get stuck in. Right, we're going to start off with the single shot loader to zero this. As I've just said, we've got the longer JSB Exacts here, the FX branded ones. I probably need to just make a quick adjustment to the cheek piece. It's the first time I've used this scope and I haven't shot the katran in a while, so I'm just going to get myself back in the swing of things, get this roughly zeroed, and then we can get the other pellets through it. So have a quick look, see if my cheek piece is anywhere near. Not too bad. I think I just need to raise the bipod up a smidgen. Okay, that one went in a little bit low. I'm on 10 mag at the moment. Just going to get a few shots through at 10 mag and then I'm going to bump it up to 20 and see if it's any better or worse for me, see how it goes. So we have got a little bit of a breeze running over the top of us at the moment. It's fairly sheltered, but not a huge amount of drift we're likely to see at 25 yards. When we go out to 45, the wind's going to be coming across at almost 90 degrees, so we will probably see a little bit of drift then, but where we are at the moment, we're pretty sheltered, so I don't expect that to affect the results greatly at this range. The clicks feel quite nice and positive on this scope, and I do like the larger diameter elevation wheel on here. There's certainly plenty of space if you wanted to mark your ranges and put a little range tape on there for sure. Right, so I've got a few through it now. Got a little bit of a scattered group. It doesn't actually really like these particular batch of pellets very well, but I'm going to jump it up to 20 mag now and see whether or not that makes me more or less accurate. It's been a long time since I've shot with these higher mags. We don't have a marking for 20, we've got 19 and 21, so we'll split the difference and see how it goes. Oh, that looks nice. Quite like this extra magnification. The old eyesight's not what it was a few years ago, that's for sure. Okay, we've got a reasonable zero with the standard length exacts at 8.4 grains. We're just about to swap over to the shorts. Again, they're an 8.4 grain one. I'm on the single shot loader for the moment. We've got 3 crosshairs on the card out there. The left one I'm just going to check, let them lead into the barrel. So the first sort of 10 shots, we'll disregard those as they led into the barrel. Then we'll move on to the middle and the right hand crosshairs that are out there. And they'll be the ones that we use for the testing. So a slightly different point of impact between the short, the first one that went through. This group will probably wander around a little bit as they led into the barrel, so we don't read too much into these first few. Right, so the first 2 of those are actually grouping tighter than the FX branded ones. It's nice to be back out with the katran actually. I've been using the Anschutz lately quite a lot. Do enjoy shooting this, it's a lovely little bit of kit. Well, they're literally going through the same hole at the moment. So as it stands, through the single shot loader, these little shorts are shooting a bit nicer than the full length FX branded JSBs. Right, I think we're ready to move on to the middle and the right hand target. So we've got sort of 12 through it now. They seem like they've settled in pretty well. They're actually shooting really quite nice. Most of those have gone through the same ragged hole. So at the moment, they're actually shooting better than the long ones through the single shot loader on here. Just going to move over, put a few more in from the pellet tin lid. So remember, when you see the target, the left hand crosshair on the card itself was just the 0 and 1s, the middle and the right hand ones of the 3. They're the ones that we're using for the test. I'm going to go and put the GoPro on quickly and we'll get them shot. Okay, GoPro's on. We'll go for the middle target that's drawn on there. Don't worry about the position of the groups relative to the crosshairs on the card. We're not perfectly zeroed, but we're just simply looking at group size as a direct comparison between being single shot loaded and between mag loaded. So let's go. Shooting on 20 mag, even off of the bipod and the little monopod, I can see my heartbeat and everything. Surprising, I don't often shoot with the higher magnifications. Most of my comp shooting and all the pest control stuff's always done on sort of 8 to 10 mag, no higher than that. So 20 is a bit of a shock to the system, but I do like it. And that one was back in the other hole. I wonder if it was a dodgy pellet. Wonder whether it jumped a bit wafty from the single shot loader into the barrel. It's hard to tell. This is the advantage to having single shot rifles, especially where you're thumb loading them like the Anschutz, or even if you're probe loading them on HFT 500 or something like that. You've got much better control of your pellet and you can pretty much see it right up until it goes in the barrel, which of course you can't on these. So you're pretty much at the mercy of whatever it does. You can't really control it or change it. You just don't know. And there's also quite a snap when you close the actual cock and bolt. So really you've got no feel. Once that's being pushed out of the single shot loader or the magazine, you really have no idea whether it's gone in their barrel nicely or not. It's strange. You've got sort of two distinct groups almost. Some of them are dropping a little bit low and a little bit left. Okay, so I'm going to move on to the lower crosshair on the middle target now. Bung another few through that. That's strange, we've got a little bit of elevation change in these. You probably just see me wobbling my head about. I'm just checking for any parallax error. The scope is focused at 25 yards and that image is blacked out before I've even moved the width of the actual crosshairs on here, the actual reticle itself. So I can't induce that much parallax error. It's interesting. That's weird, one of them skewed up to the left a little bit. We have got a little bit of wind out there, but it's really not an awful lot at the moment. We're quite lucky, we're fairly sheltered here. So the last two of those seem to have crept up and left a little bit, which is unusual. Oh, see, that one didn't feel that nice. I felt that jump out of the single shot loader into the action, into the barrel itself. Okay, not too bad. I think what we'll do now, we'll run the cards out to 45 yards with the single shot loader and see how we go out there before the geese get in here and come and attack us. The groups aren't brilliant. Realistically, these shorter pellets, anything that's got a single shot loader like this, they're always going to be slightly problematic. Because of their shorter length, it's very hard to make sure that they come out of your single shot loader and into the barrel true. And especially with the sort of auto indexing magazines as well, where there's always tension on the pellet as it's just about to leave the rotor into the barrel. There's always a chance that they can be sort of loaded slightly on the piss. So not bad, not great. As I said at the beginning, most rifles in this configuration, not just the Airmaks, anything that's got this sort of concealed auto indexing magazine and a single shot loader setup will struggle with these pellets, but it's going to be interesting to directly compare them. Be interested to see whether or not the magazine's better or worse now, really. So right, we're now out of 45 yards, just moved across diagonally across the yard here. All I've done is up the magnification to 25 times, so an awful lot higher than I'm used to shooting on. We've got a tiny little bit of wind drift from right to left. I guess maybe at the moment we're probably looking less than 4 miles an hour, so not a huge amount to worry about. If I was competing, I would probably be aiming off 2 pellet whips to the right. Not a lot for sure. Okay, they're grouping pretty well at 45. It's a shame we haven't got the Anschutz today, because that would be putting them through one single ragged hole at this range today with this wind. They shot really well in the Annie. You can definitely feel a distinct jump out of the single shot loader into the action with these short pellets. I'm pretty sure that given the conditions we've got today, the longer QYS streamlines that I'd be using would be grouping much tighter than what we're getting with these. And as we've seen with the Anschutz action, loading these directly into the barrel, they're quite an accurate pellet. This CZ barrel is not particularly fussy, but I think most of the issue is that shorter pellet length. It's slightly problematic. So looking at what we've got now, I imagine that the magazine shot groups are going to be even worse, potentially. Yeah, see, that one loaded nicely. It's on exactly the same elevation as the first one that I took when I dropped down the card. Wind got that one. I watched that one all the way through. Right, this is the last one then with the single shot loader. They're fairly well scattered. I'm a bit surprised. Right, the cards are swapped over. I have got 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 of the shorts in the magazine. Let's see how we go. So 45 yards. Just a gentle breeze from right to left, only a few miles an hour. We're just using the 25-yard aim point. Let's see how it goes. That last one. Yeah. Okay, well that's I rattled them off fairly quick. However, the group from the magazine at the moment, that felt like, and certainly looks like, we've shot a better group than we have with the single shot loader. Work that out. Right, I'm going to swap that card over again, and we're going to have a go with the streamlines just for curiosity's sake and see what happens. What we'll do, we'll use the same card that's out there. So that's your empty mag that had the JSB shorts in it, and here is a full magazine of the QYS streamlined heavies. Unfortunately, we haven't got enough with us to, as I say, to give the barrel a full clean, so whether or not it'll take a few for them to settle into the barrel, I don't know, but I'm going to aim for the bottom target. So the third cross down is what I'm going to use as my aim point, and the fourth one, the lowest cross, will be pretty much where our point of impact is. That wind has spun round a little bit. Feels like it's kind of coming from behind us almost at the moment. That one skewed off way left and low. Right, empty the mags out. We've got 10 streamlines, QYSs. We're going to now try and single shot load those. See if we see any improvement over the magazine with those as well. And these are a longer, harder pellet and far less likely to deform or be damaged or loaded on the piss going from the single shot loader to the barrel. We've got two obvious little groups with the streamlines. You've got one much nearer to the centre line when the wind's not blowing, and then we've got a little group a little bit lower and a little bit left when the wind picks up and catches them. Well, it's a fairly scattered group. I mean, let's see what it looks like on 10 mag that I'd normally be shooting. Oh, to be fair, on 10 mag it doesn't look too bad, but still a bit of a scattering. Right, let's get them cards in. Right guys, we're back. That temperature started dropping quick, so we made the most of the sunshine and that lack of wind stay. Now it did get a little bit gusty towards the end. So anyway, start off with the FX branded ones. This was just literally sighting the scope in, so I was just moving my groups around, so nothing too exciting there. Most of them FX ones were sort of a pellet's width away from each other, so as I'd expect with those. Now this little crosshair on the left here, this is where we started to lead the barrel into the little exact shorts. Now most of those in twos. You can see where I've moved it across, they're all sort of touching pretty good. So actually first impressions were pretty good. These were the main ones that we shot. Now we had the odd one that would pull a little bit to the right. Now as I said while we was out shooting, the wind was blowing from the right to the left slightly, hence why we've got a tiny little bit of drift, maybe a pellet's width of drift at most. Pretty good really. I was quite happy with that. I was surprised that they were grouping as well as they were. Now it doesn't group as tight as the Anschutz does. Of course I'm loading that directly to the barrel. They were still jumping out of a single shot loader into the actual barrel itself. So despite jumping from one to other, they still started to jump pretty well, pretty accurate as well. So happy with that. The 45 yards, so this is where it starts to get interesting. Now me getting a bit excited and above myself really, when I was shooting the magazine, I've put that up full speed, so when you've watched that already, that was literally at full speed. I shot them pretty fast. I didn't really take my time with the magazine, which was a bit mental really. However, I need to recalibrate my brain a little bit. Using the first focal plane scope, everything of course looks bigger. The reticle looked bigger, the target looked bigger, and the groups looked a lot bigger than I'm actually used to. I haven't used a high mag scope for probably 5 or 6 years, and a first focal plane scope for probably the same sort of time. So everything looked bigger. I was a bit disappointed when I was sat behind the gun until I went and picked the cards up and realised that actually UK £1 coin, that's what, 21 mil across, something like that. That just about squeezes over all the shots. So that was 45 yards, mag loaded and rattled off really quick. This is the single shot loaded ones. Now you can sort of see the perforations in the paper there. So the group itself has the same elevation, so it's much the same height as your £1 coin. Got slightly less drift on here, so there's a little bit less sort of spread left to right single shot loading them, but considering that I rattled these off super quick, I'm really surprised. Through the scope, the groups obviously looked a lot larger than I was anticipating they ought to, because the reticle and everything else is enlarged because of the magnification and the way the first focal plane scope works. So I've got to be honest, rattling them off that quick, under £1 coin, absolutely blinding really. If I'd taken my time, could have tightened them up. Of course I wasn't aiming off, I was making no allowances for the wind, we're just monitoring the actual wind drift. This was the 25 yard aim point. You can see, strangely enough, that all of the group from the magazine loaded ones dropped a little bit more than they did when they were hand loaded through the single shot loader. So that may suggest that there is a little bit of deformation going on coming out of the magazine into the barrel. However, the actual group sizes are much the same. So quite interesting in that respect. So this was just a little bit of fun. Obviously realised that I had some spare streamlines in one of the old magazines in the back of the Action. Now, that was magazine loaded, rattled those off quite quickly, and then single shot loaded them. Bearing in mind these pellets have been in the back of that rifle for ages. I haven't shot the gun now for probably 3 months. They've been in the magazine all that time. What did I really expect, to be honest? I mean, I'm surprised that they actually grouped as badly as that. Generally speaking, the streamlines have done very well in here. So yes, I'm very surprised. The exacts outgrouped the streamlines today at 45 yards. Don't know, we learn something new every day. So Certainly need to spend a bit more time though getting used to the first focal plane and the higher magnification of the new scope. Hopefully next week we can get that back onto the Anschutz and start pushing it out a bit further. So quite interesting, but the reality of this experiment is that yes, the magazine groups quite well at 45 yards. The difference between that and the single shot loader is pretty negligible. However, if you wanted to use the Katran, for instance, or any rifle that's like that either has the option of a single shot tray or a magazine, you couldn't easily use this in competition. If you wanted to shoot hunter field target, for instance, or field target, your magazine has to be removed between every single lane. So a bit tedious. You have to keep reloading it one at a time before you can reload on the next lane. So a single shot loader definitely makes sense. And especially if you've got pellets with a shallow skirt or whatever, single shot loader, marginally more accurate, but certainly in the Katran, that difference is not as much as I thought it would be, to be honest. It was nice to be out, nice to try the new scope out, and I'm looking forward to getting the Anschutz rebuilt, get that all together for some testing, especially with the slugs going forward. So that'll do it for this one, guys. I'll see you in the next one.